think you got that roping down. I was watching your rope.
Well, you know, when you do it for 40, 50 years, you know, you better get it down or hang it up.
Yeah, that's right.
Here, you know, we all rope in the arena and controlled environment. We rope outside too, but you know, when I was a young guy, Eddie, I had gathered a bunch of steers and I had one left get out, the Coriani steers from Mexico with the long horns, you know. And Eddie, I said, Eddie, I need some help. Can't get this steer in by myself. So he hooks his rig up and he comes over to Martinez, the ground I had leased, and he unloads his horse and saddles up, and we go out. And I run out and run up, and I rope this steer, but I was riding a kind of an unbroke horse, and my horse kind of spun on me, and I lost my rope, and off that steer went on the side of a hill like that right there. And here goes Eddie, 90 miles an hour on his, what was that, Leo horse?
Leo horse, yeah.
Big, good-looking horse. And, you know, here he is on a cliff, runs out there and ropes his steer on the side of a cliff, and turns that horse around, drug him back, you know, saved the day.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing guy.
Yeah. Talk about practice and courage.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's all practice, you know, and learn from the right people.
Yeah. Well, you had the right
Yeah,
person.
exactly. You know, you got and you know, and the guy never forgets that, or I don't anyway. You know, I mean, you know, you always appreciate where you come from and who taught you, and fortunately enough around here, you know, being the fact that we're raised here, you know, and my family, you know, my parents before me and my grandparents before them and my great-grandparents, you know, everybody knows everybody that was here.
Yeah.
So, you know, it doesn't matter if you're Italian, Portuguese, or Irish, or, you know, where you come from, you know, you're all accepted, and they take you in like you're part of their family.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, my parents are gone now. Now my parents are Ed and Mary Brazil, you know. I mean, they're wonderful to me. You know, if it wasn't for them, I'd have hell being in the cow business today, you know, because Eddie's got a lot of ground leased, and I run cows with Eddie, and, you know, get to help him, and still, you know, at 87 years old, he still teaches you. You know, I wish I could know what he's forgotten.
Right.
You know, that's the wonderful thing about being around, you know, the older fellas. And then you get called. It was funny yesterday. Frank Nunes called me on the phone. That Frank Nunes is here, and he said, "Hey, I need a seat for one of my harrow beds," and you know, and it's an archaic harrow bed. You know, I think it came over on the Mayflower. But, you know, I'm in the hay business, and I know lots of people that are in the business, and they have what we call boneyards. And, you know, I made a phone call this morning, and doggone if I didn't find him a seat with a spring in it that he needed so he wouldn't get beat to death, you know. But, I mean, we're all good friends and help each other out every way we can, you know, and then you watch you know, you really try to watch your boundaries, because, you know, we all want more ground. You know, I mean, Eddie's been here. We're the next ranch over, and you know, when the land trust bought this, you know, they put it up for lease. Well, you know, you don't want to take it away from the guy that had the lease before you, you know, or has the lease now. I mean, that takes away, you know, food off his table, and because the ground's so hard to find, but myself, you know, I came and you know, they interviewed me to be a new lessee, you know, but it's not you know, fair. You know, a guy thinks of twice whether, you know, you go interview, and you think, you know, here you lose friendships, you know, when it's almost like stealing from the other guy, you know. But there's a lot of people in the business that they could care less, you know, absolutely. They just step on everybody, you know, just for a dollar bill, and that's not what life's about, to me.
Nick and Eddie, let's just got to back up and say who's here and what we're doing, and then we'll continue with your stories, okay? We're here at the Ranching Heritage Day at the Fernandez Ranch, and we're with Nick Compaglia and Eddie Brazil. I'll be asking you a few questions, and then our videotapers are Brett Stevenson and Nick. To get started, why don't you each just say your name and where you were born, and when you were born? You want to
absolutely. I was born in 1946 in the Martinez Community Hospital, which was at the end of Ariba Street, no, Haven Street, I think. Up on the side of a hill. It's an office building now.
How about you, Eddie?
I was born
In Martinez area?
No, Eddie was born in Fortuna.
Oh, Fortuna.
And then when Eddie was a young baby, his father was a dairyman, and he moved down here and lived right over on the other side of the golf course here at Fernandez Ranch when he was a young man, and went to school in Rodale.
4 miles.
4 miles to school?
Walk 4 miles.
How did you get there? Oh, you walked?
Over and back.
Yeah, he told me he walked uphill in the snow with his feet wrapped in rags. Both ways.
And where is your current home? Where's your ranch?
I live downtown Martinez, and Eddie lives in Crockett.
Where did you grow up, and what was the area like at that time?
Well, I grew up in Martinez and absolutely had nothing to do with agriculture. My father was in the military for years, and then when he got out, he worked at the Naval Weapons Station in Concord, and I was born and raised in Martinez, and you know, my younger years were down at the waterfront at Martinez, fishing with all my buddies and playing sports in town, and I didn't get into this business until I was in my 20s. I became a horseshoer and bought a cow, bought a horse, bought another cow, and bought 10 more horses. And that's how I got into this. And then I got to meet Eddie, you know, and that was all the good deal, you know. It blossomed from there, you know, and we best of friends. Pardon?
What was it about ranching that interested you?
You know, I didn't have to, you know, nobody tells you, a cow doesn't tell you what to do, and a horse doesn't tell you what to do. You kind of have control, and, you know, you don't have to. I'm the worst one in the world for being on time, and I kind of fly by the seat of my pants a lot, you know, but, you know, I get things done, but, you know, it's so I didn't have to work for anybody, and kind of didn't like people telling me what I had to do, you know, so that's how I got into doing my own thing, working for myself. And Eddie, Eddie, tell them about how, you know, you started there at Fernandez and, you know, went to work for Linus and baled the hay. And
I worked on a 5-wire gas rig. Oh, you know, it used to be the 5-wire bales. And we used to work from 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'd stop at 8 o'clock and have a cup of coffee and a sandwich. Then we'd work until dark. That was it, really.
And then Eddie later on, he did you work for Linus?
Yeah.
Before you farmed the golf course and the C&H?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the ranch and the farm and what kind of crops you grew and what the ranch was like?
Well, I raised tomatoes there in the C&H ranch for a couple of years. And you plant them with a planter, and they just took one shot of water, and they were 5 by 5, and all I did is took the tractor and kept cultivating them back and forth to keep the moisture up. And the nice big tomatoes. And they went to Hines in Martinez, in Oakland, and then to Martinez also.
Describe your childhood home, what it was like.
When you lived up there behind Fernandez there in your house, is what she's asking.
It was kind of, we were kids, and we used to have to get up in the morning and milk cows and turn the separator by hand. So my dad would, when they get a gallon of 10 gallons of cream, he'd take it on his back and take it down to, then you get so much money for it. And that's how we kind of survived.
So you had grew tomatoes and you had dairy cows? What other crops or what other?
Well, he had some dairy cows, yeah. Not Holsteins, but crossbred.
So they what he did was they farmed the hay and you know, the tomatoes and the milk cows, and then eventually he went to work for Lioness later on. Well, you worked for who'd you work for during the war?
For
Not Ed Bruno. He worked.
Joe Costa.
Oh, Joe Costa, yeah.
You remember some of the other things that you did around the ranch?
Tell them a story. How you drove cattle down through Bear Creek, down San Pablo Dam Road to McDermott's down there. You drove them cattle out of the valley, you guys.
3 or 4 was driving a bunch of cattle.
You know, 1,000 head of steers down to the Golden Gate Fields. Yeah, drive horseback.
3 dogs. 3 dogs.
Yeah, they lived in the great times, you know, when it was the Wild West here, and it was and it wasn't, you know. And then when he went to work for Lioness was married to a lady by the name of Edna Bruno, and of course her name was Edna Glaze, but you know, and I guess he was
She was one of the best girl on a horse I ever seen. She really could ride. She'd come off a cliff and follow you just as well as not.
Was old Bruno, was he a big a cow man as Linus? Did he have?
Oh yeah, he had all Orinda, all cattle all over that place. And we used to go over there for weeks and try to gather all the cattle. We'd go out in the morning or early, 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then we'd stop at noon or 10 o'clock whenever it got hot. Then we'd go out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon until we got them all up.
One thing we were interested in is the source of water for the ranch, both drinking water and for livestock and that sort of thing.
Well, it was all wells, and they cultivated. They developed all the springs, and they're still, like on Clays, they're all still there. There's a lot of springs here, but I don't think they use the springs here because there's so much water in the creeks that you know, they just use that, and you know, the thing of it is that there's no money. You know, I mean, we lease this ground for nil, really, and even years ago, it takes a lot of money to develop that kind of stuff, you know. And in his day, they really did have the time. I mean, you know, we're not having to go to this party and go to the tax man and do this and do that, and you know, all the million things we have to do. You know, they had time and the knowledge to develop those things. So that's what, you know, and the wells they dug, you know, they were 8 by 8 or 4 by 4 wells, and they might be 20, 30 foot in the ground, and produce phenomenal amounts of water, and you know, they witched them by hand, and I mean, it's unbelievable how my grandmother witched wells, so that's how, you know, I got to see it and watch her do it, and it was absolutely amazing how that goes about. But that was their major source of water, were these creeks and the springs, and there is a lot of water. There's places where there isn't water, and there's places where there's just phenomenal amounts of water, you know. But and the cattle are, you know, instinctively they find it, they smell it, and they find it.
Are you aware of some of the efforts to preserve the open space in this area? And
oh, absolutely.
Do you have thoughts on how it's going or what needs to be
Well,
done?
like I said earlier, I really, if there wasn't the land trust and East Bay Regional Parks, you know, where would we be? You know, I mean, this would all be houses. You know, and I, you know, I mean, I'm 60 years old, and I want to run cows, and I want to run cows till the day I die. You know, as long as I'm physically able to do it, and without organizations like your organization, there's no way we can do it. You know, and you know, we're absolutely, you know, in the beginning, some of the environmentalists were pretty tough to deal with. I mean, they were really kind of way out, to me, you know, over the top. And but you know, it's like the land trust. You know, they were trying to bring back. I got 7 acres from the land trust. You know, and we've got probably 20 mother cows on that 7 acres to eat it down to the dirt like this, because they want to bring back the gold fields. You know, and at first they had the idea that don't graze it and the gold fields will come back. Well, where they didn't graze, on the other side of the road, it's all weeds 40 foot high, and there's not a blade of grass or a gold field. And where the cows are, they're starting to find them. You know, they disturb the ground, and you know, they natural fertilize the ground, and so, you know, everybody helps everybody. You know, and there really are, you know, really are coming around. We hear that they are going to open up, you know, the state of California dead set against grazing state ground, you know, Mount Diablo. And, you know, we hear that they're getting ready to open it up and to graze it again, because it's just the fuel that's produced every year from, you know, the grass growing, that it's out of control. And if it ever does catch on fire, they're not going to stop it. You know, I don't care how many borate bombers they have, you know, and firefighters. It's going to burn till it runs to something that's going to stop it from burning, and it's not the humans. You know, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, we have Mount Wanda in Martinez, you know, that's part of John Muir, and they don't graze. I graze behind it, which belongs to the park, East Bay Regional Park, but they don't graze the piece on the other side of Highway 4 there on Mount Wanda. And I mean, when that burns, it's going to burn houses down and everything, and I don't know why they don't get a grazer in there, but that's, you know, that's why we like the land trust in East Bay Regional Park, because, you know, they're for us, you know, and so we're for them. It's just one feeds the other. And what's so good about the land trust is, you know, you have to keep the fences and things like that, but there's no big giant dams a month to raise your animals, you know, which be a considerable amount of money, you know, that you have to come out of your pocket with, you know. But, you know, we are definitely for open space and not houses. Less people. I mean, they want to come and hike, we love to do it. You know, that's what it's for. You know, it's people come and enjoy it. And as long as we all abide by the rules, and it's just, you know, and it really is. It's a good thing for all of us.
Nick, you seem to know all of Eddie's stories, so maybe you guys could go together and talk a little bit. Eddie, do you have any favorite memories of growing up on the ranch, or anything that you might want to share? Yeah. What are some of the things that you remember?
You know, it's a shame that we don't have a. Years ago, the Clays estate where Eddie worked for years, they had some old boxes. We found some, what are they, 38, the old camera, and Eddie's wife Mary sent them and had them put on tapes of these guys branding cattle, and it was Eddie, you know, and all the old timers were there, you know, all the, you know, that were over 75, and you know, it was quite a deal, you know. And you get to see guys that, you know, when I got to see those movies, I heard tons about, you know, Ed Bruno Edna and all these people never knew them, but then you know, it's almost like when you see them on the tape, you've heard so much about them that you know them personally, you know, and you get.
Are these still photos or
No, this is a movie. These are movies, yeah.
Yeah, we even had a dip for the cattle.
Oh, dip? Oh, you mean you had to dip them?
Yeah.
They go down there, and they had a kind of a thin thing, and they slide right into the water. It had all the minerals that kill the lice and everything.
Yeah, they have pictures of that where they go through a little walkway, you know, and then they drop into a trough, and there'd be somebody there with a pole, and when they went in, they made sure they got their heads dipped under the water, and then they'd come up, and they'd go, you know, maybe from here to 10 feet away, and then they'd get on a little ramp and walk out of and go out into the pasture. It was, you know, that now we vaccinate that way, or we spray them. We can run them in a corral and bunch them up and have a sprayer and just spray over the top of them. You know, we put ear tags. We have medicated ear tags that we put in their insecticide ear tags. You know, to keep the flies. Cattle have a bad problem with getting infected eyes, pink eye, and you can vaccinate them for them, and then you put these ear tags for an added bonus. You know, so it doesn't happen, because it really sets cattle back, and it can blind them.
So a lot has changed over the years.
Oh yeah, but you know, I mean, they had the old technology by, you know, filling them big runways full of, you know, the insecticides, you know, and of course, who knows how hazardous that stuff was, you know, but that's the way they did it then, and it worked. And they, you know, they shipped cattle. They received their cattle. They had the railroad goes right by the ranch, and they had a set of corrals at the railroad where they'd ship cattle on rail cars and receive cattle on rail cars, you know, on both sides of the ranch. Quite a deal. In the video, it shows them driving cattle across Highway 4 that was 2 lanes about this wide. And, you know, they're driving cattle across the road, and there'd be 4 cars stopped, you know, no traffic at all, you know, while they drove them cattle across. I mean, it's all these videos. They're phenomenal videos.
I interviewed Joe Brinkle. He was describing how their property was on either side of Highway 4, and they had to drive their herds back and forth across Highway 4. Was it the same highway back then?
No, it was a completely different deal. Franklin Canyon was quite the... I remember that. Yeah.
Well, you've talked a little bit about the future of ranching and how important it is, you know, for the land trust and other organizations to allow grazing. Do you see any other use for this land, open space? Could
you know,
workable?
well, you could farm this ground. I mean, it's great soil. You could actually come in and farm it, but you know, again, you know, if a guy could get to where it doesn't cost a lot of money. I mean, to farm ground today is astronomical. The cost of tractors, and, you know, and the fertilizer and the seeds, and then the equipment, the balers to put it up with, and the, you know, the harrow beds to pick the hay up with, and everything. You know, it's all, you're talking about $1 million worth of equipment, you know, so you have to be huge, and that's why farming today has got to be the majority. There's very few small farmers, and if they are, a small farmer's farming, you know, 1,000 acres. That's a small farmer anymore to eat and survive and be able to own all that equipment. It's really tough. And where we are here, you know, it's other parts of the country, it's a little bit better, you know, because the ground's not as expensive, and the costs are down. You know, fuel's cheaper, and of course the cost of living's also, everything's kind of relevant, you know. But you know, this ground could absolutely be farmed. You know, a dry land farm.
We've been hearing a lot about that today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Any other stories before we wrap up?
You know, all I would like to say is to thank your organization, you know, for what they've done to help us, you know, and you know, and I think I can speak for all the people that have the ground, and that you know, we're also, you help us, and we're also there to, you know, don't hesitate to, you know, ask us to maybe to help in one way or the other if we, you know, we're able to, you know. I mean, we greatly appreciate it. We really, really do.
stories with us.
Thank you for the nice day today. Nice job putting this all together. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Very much.
Okay.